In this example, the revenue from the sale of X coffee makers is given by the function Rx equals 40x minus 0.4x squared dollars. The total cost is given by the function Cx equals 370 plus 16x minus 0.2x squared dollars, where x is between 0 and 100. We're going to determine the intervals where the profit is increasing and where it is decreasing. Talking about the interval of the profit function, where is increasing, where is decreasing. Increasing means derivative is positive. Decreasing means the derivative is negative. So we're going to work on the profit function by using the revenue and the cost functions provided. The, the overall goal is to determine the intervals of the profit. Starting from setting up the profit function, the profit is from the revenue minus the cost, okay? And the revenue is the quantity 40x minus 0.4 x squared subtracted by the cost function 370 plus 16 x minus 0.2 x squared. We're going to simplify all the way. Before we simplify, taking away the grouping symbol and then look for like terms. Now we have like terms, the 40x, the 40x and the negative 16x, subtract them, so we get 24x. And then for the x to the second power, we have the term negative 0.4 plus 0.2, and that will give us the negative 0.2x squared and the standalone number, which is negative 370. Now we get the profit function, we write in the better order as negative 0.2 x squared plus 24x minus 370. Okay, set it aside. So this is the profit. And your goal is to find the interval where the profit increasing, decreasing. Increasing, we look for the case that P prime is positive. Decreasing, we look for the case that P prime is negative. So we're gonna find the breaking point, not the breaking point, is the point that the profit doesn't change or the P prime is 0. Another way we're gonna say, we're gonna find the critical value. So find the critical value, maybe more than one. And critical value occurs in the case that P prime equals 0 or P prime of the X is undefined. So two different cases. That means we're gonna go ahead finding the P prime or the derivative of the profit. And for our case, the derivative of the profit is the derivative of negative 0.2 x squared, which is negative 0.4 x. Derivative of 24x is 24. Derivative of negative 370 is 0. Now we get the polynomial function as a result of the P prime. So for this case, I'm going to put a note. This is a polynomial function. And the polynomial function is defined everywhere. So we're going to ignore the case that the P prime is undefined. So just work on solving for x or solving for the critical value where the P prime is 0. Then we're going to let the P prime to be 0. 0 equals negative 0.4x plus 24. Let me write it this way. We're going to set the P prime of the X equals 0 to find the critical value. So P prime is negative 0.4x plus 24 equals 0. Subtract 24 both sides, and then divide both sides by negative 0.4, and that will give us um, positive 6. No, not positive 6, sorry. It's going to be 60. Okay, and recall X is the production level or the number of the coffee makers and the number between 0 and 100. So it's within the range of the possible X value. And after that, we're going to use 60. And this 60 is the critical value, or where the P prime at 60 equals 0. What does it mean? There is no change in profit if you produce 60 coffee makers. Now, when we get X equals 60, we're going to use it to determine what interval the profit is increasing, what interval the profit is decreasing. So by drawing the real number line, okay, the real number line, and then locate the critical number 60. Recall X is between 0 and 100. We do not take the entire real number line. We're going to stop at 0, and we're going to start at 0, and we're going to stop at 100. Okay, gonna 100 here at the bow, and look at the left and the right of the critical number. And this line represent the line of the P prime. And the value the P prime, the expression for the P prime is negative 0.4x plus 24. So as you see, if you factor it out, so this is negative 0.4 as a common factor, we have x minus 60. When you write in the factor form, it's easier to determine the sign of the P prime. If you look at the number between 0 and 60, for example, pick any number. If x equals, for example, 50, if x is 50, the P prime at 50, we identify just the sign. So going to be negative multiplied by negative, which is positive sign. So we have the graph or the P prime increasing on the left side of the 60. And then for the other interval, pick the number. For example, x equals 80. You can pick any number as long as the number is greater than 60 but less than 100. If x is 80, so the P prime at 80, consider the sign again. Do not worry about the exact quantity. So negative 0.4 is remain negative. 80 minus 60, that's positive. You're gonna get the result as negative sign for the derivative of the P, or the derivative of the profit. Therefore, the profit is increasing between 0 and 6, decreasing between 60 and 100. So then we can write as a summary of this. I'm gonna get some room here to write the summary. So let me make the room. Okay, because the problem asks you to find the interval that the profit is increasing, the profit is decreasing. So we can say the profit is increasing where x between 0 and 60 and decreasing where x between 60 and 100. So we can put the equal sign here because that's the bound of the x value or the production level. has to be between 0 and 100. And then we are done for this problem.